Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing a whiskey for the first time in a while. It's going to be the Redbreast 12-year-old, a single pot still Irish whiskey. Now, I'm still very early on in my whiskey journey, and I'll be honest, I don't actually know what a single pot still means, but we're going to look it up and find out. You may notice there are two little whiskey tasting glasses over here to the side, and that is because today I am joined by Mrs. Crummy Beard, aka Dictionary Corner. She likes a wee dram, especially of Irish whiskey, so she thought she'd join on in. First of all, it comes in this nice presentation red box. It's it's pretty swanky looking. Spin that around. Some info on the back. We'll give that a read after we've had a taste. So let's get this open. Inside here is the bottle, obviously. It's a proper kind of stout, stubby. It feels kind of, I don't know, kind of old-fashioned, kind of old school. Looks like a stubby barrel bottle. A glass for you, madam.
Thank you. Would you like to know what single pot still means?
You are Dictionary Corner as what we don't pay you for. What does it mean?
So single pot still whiskey is a style of Irish whiskey made by a single distillery from a mixed mash of malted and unmalted barley distilled in a pot still. Somewhat similar to single malt whiskey, the style is defined by its inclusion of unmalted raw barley in the mash in addition to the malt.
Interesting.
There we go.
Okay, we learnt something new. I can't recite it, but I think I understand, so that's a good start. Before we open this, actually, do you know what the current retail price of this is?
So, on Master of Malt, it is currently 70 centilitres bottle, yeah?
It is, yes.
Fabulous. Master of Malt, $42.99.
$42.99. So it's pricey, but not hideous.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say.
Yes.
Now, did not pay that for this. Got this a while ago and managed to get a deal on quite a few different whiskies, including quite a number of Jamesons. The ones, if you watch my whiskey collection video the other week, link up there if you want to see that. All of those Jameson and Irish whiskies were all, and I think the Glenlivet as well, actually, were all bought at a heavily reduced price, thanks to a family member, friend of a friend sort of thing. So anyway, we'll see if it's worth the RRP rather than what we paid for it, which is the only thing we can compare it to, because it's been a few years and I actually can't remember.
I couldn't tell you how much
I paid for it. So let's get into it then, shall we? We've already seen the bottle, so let's just get straight in. Nice little, it's one of those little thumb tack. You see the little corner there? You've got to get your thumb in there and tear it open.
Let me do it with nails.
I'm in. It would help if you had nails, though, I have to say. Right, open that up. Dispose the little 12-year top that you get on there. And then the cork top, I think it's a cork top, has a little robin on it, look. It's pretty nice. Good noise. Here's a nice little cork. Just do tasters. You can always top up. Sufficient?
Thank you very much.
Okay, so in the glass, it's not really possible to do a kind of beer style review on the visuals because all whiskey, I mean, some of it's lighter, some of it's a bit darker. I think this is pretty in the middle looking at that. As always, comes through slightly darker on screen than it is in real life, but actually this is more representative, I think, than most beers are. So I'd say it's kind of intermediate. There's some good legs on the glass. Swirl it around, they stick around. They take a few moments to fall down the glass, which apparently I have subsequently learned is an indicator of age. The longer it takes the legs to fall down the glass, the older it is. I mean, we know how old this is. It's aged for 12 years and then it's been in my cupboard for 3. So I'm not sure that makes it a 15-year-old, but you get the idea. It looks nice. It looks like it's going to be slightly thicker than some younger whiskies, I think.
Yeah.
Right, Aromas. I have to say, it's not quite what I was expecting on the aroma.
Any idea what you were expecting?
No, but the only Irish whiskies I've had are a variety of Jamesons and Tullamore Dew, which is considered, I think, a budget whiskey, but
it's a nice, easy drink, that one.
Yeah, it's not bad for a cheap one, I have to say. This feels a lot more complex, more woody.
Yeah.
a bit less sweet than the others, I think. And trying to identify notes in whiskey, I have just learned, is significantly harder than trying to identify notes in beer. But obviously, all these things are subjective, so it's what you can smell, not what everyone can smell. There's woody notes, it's a bit floral, but the floral is simple. It's not, it's not flowery,
floral, no.
It's just there's a natural, organic kind of almost summer meadow, but something a bit deeper. And there's a dark note in there it's not fiery, it's not smoky, but it's an aroma I think I more normally associate with brandy. Something, a little hint of something there. I don't think this is brandy cask condition, but it's a deeper note somewhere in there, and I'll try and pick it out as we get through the tasting. Anything from your side? What you getting, Mrs. Crummy Beard?
I think the wood more than anything else.
Swirl it around, you get a lot of strong boozy ethanol. If you stick your nose a bit too far in, but smells that deeper note I think is something quite clean, quite, I don't want to say licorice because it's not quite that, but if you go down that line of licorice, menthol, natural,
like a Christmas spice a little bit,
or like a cinnamon bark or something like that, or yeah,
just a hint, not.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Right, let's give it a go. Cheers.
Cheers.
That is very pleasant.
Mm.
That is very, very pleasant. I've seen a few people list this as their kind of slightly more expensive everyday whiskey. The slightly easier drinking, but still a lot of interest, and I can see why. There's some caramel notes in there for sure.
Tastes sweeter than it smells.
A lot sweeter,
but not overly sweet.
No,
I mean it just tastes sweeter than the smell. This
is nowhere near a whiskey liqueur.
No.
If that's what you're into, this is not that, but it has got slightly soft, slightly sweet, a bit up front, a bit of brown sugar. Doesn't quite get to kind of molasses, but it feels like it's going that way.
It's very smooth.
It is very smooth, and there's a bit of a burnt marshmallow bit at the end of that. I'm distinctly aware that I'm talking a lot less than I would do on a beer review, because trying to adapt your brain to something that's so much more intense and trying to pick individual flavours out of it is much more difficult. So props to all the whiskey reviewers out there, because this is not an easy game. I'm sure with attempts and experience comes the knowledge, but it's interesting because it tastes quite smooth, but there's quite a lot of alcohol, fire, not burn necessarily, but you kind of prickling around the mouth.
Yeah.
Much more than the flavour suggests, if that makes sense. Now this is a regular 40% on the nose whiskey, and you see the legs on that? That really is top notch. I'm a big fan.
Very, very nice.
I am a big fan of this.
It's that easy drink, but with a bit more complex flavours.
Absolutely. It's definitely got a lot going on. But I'll be honest, at this point I am struggling to pick out anything else. I'm not going to attempt it yet. I'm going to come back to it once it's been open for a little bit. Let's take a look and see what it says on the back of the box. So, it says, Redbreast single pot still Irish whiskey, aged 12 years. The Robin Redbreast is the only bird which sings continuously throughout the dark Irish winters and is one of the very few small birds that chose to winter in Ireland. It is this enduring spirit which inspires its namesake, Redbreast Irish whiskey. Redbreast is regarded as many by the definitive expression of single pot still Irish whiskey. Well, there we go. We've had the definition now, so now we know going forward. When the world demanded lighter, more accessible whiskey styles, Redbreast stood steadfast in the belief of tradition and significance of this style of whiskey, and for the past century has remained the standard bearer for single pot still Irish whiskey. Made from a mash of malted and unmalted barley and then triple distilled in copper pot stills, Redbreast 12 boasts the flavour, complexity and distinctive qualities of pot still whisky measured in a combination of bourbon seasoned American oak barrels and Oloroso sherry seasoned Spanish oak butts. The distinctive Redbreast sherry style is a joy to behold in each and every bottle. I said brandy.
Yeah. I
didn't mean brandy, clearly. I was picking up on that. It was reminding me of something else. I don't drink a lot of brandy or sherry, truth be told. So,
you're not allowed to drink brandy because it makes you very chatty.
Well, now the people know how to get me to talk. Thank you for that. So that's really interesting. The fact that it's done in bourbon barrels, and bourbon is synonymous with kind of that caramel, slightly sweeter flavour, that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like that is true to form coming through. It says the tasting notes. Let's see what we got right, shall we? On the nose, a complex, spicy, you said it, fruity aroma with toasted wood. Yes, we got most of that. And the taste is full flavoured and complex, yes. Silky smooth with a harmonious balance of spice, fruity, sherry and toasted notes. Maybe we're going...
We know what we're doing.
Well, I'm not sure we nailed it, but I think it said we tried to take it a bit above that. If we'd simplified it down, we pretty much got there. It says the finish, satisfyingly long, the complex flavours linger on the palate. That they do. I'll be interested, as this stays open for a minute, if those fruity flavours come through, because I feel like that's what we were missing a little bit. Got the sweeter notes, got the toasty notes.
The spicy notes and the wood aspect of it, but we didn't really get the fruit.
Absolutely. There is another explanation of single pot Irish whiskey on the bottom there, but we've kind of already been through it, so I'm not going to rework that one. But there you go. This is true to form. What is interesting about this is that there was a demand for easier drinking whiskey than this. I appreciate the generic Jameson's, Tullamore, whatever, are a bit easier to drink.
Yes.
But I don't feel like they're leaps and bounds different. No. This is way more complex. This is clearly a much better put together, thought out, considered whiskey. But I don't feel like it's inaccessible.
No.
So when I say that, yeah, they're similar, they're not in most forms, not in taste, not in experience, but I feel like their accessibility, I feel like they're pretty close. I think it's pretty close, but we like Irish whiskey.
Yes.
So maybe it's not for everyone. Who knows? Let's come back to this then. Can we pick out anything else? On the nose for me, it's still toasty and caramel. I'm not really...
Still not getting fruit.
I'm still not getting fruit on the nose. And I'm not really on the taste either, I have to say. I do wonder though, they didn't list caramel notes in the description, but it is done in bourbon barrels, which would explain them. However, fruit is sweet.
Yeah.
Caramel's sweet.
Might be that's what you're picking up.
Is it the fruit element mixed with a bit of the toastiness that actually comes together for a caramel impression? And I think that's what I'm getting. I'm really enjoying this. I feel like we might have waffled on enough about Redbreast 12, but I'm very glad that this is in the collection because I think this is going to become a bit of a staple, if I'm honest. Do you have any remaining thoughts, Miss Crummybeard?
No, other than very much recommended.
There you go. That's 2 for 2 on this one. And I think we'll leave it there. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it if you haven't already subscribed, if you will be so kind, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.